Yeah, very good morning all. So in the last class we have discussed introduction to the employee central, introduction to success factor, about data models, about XML and basic things about success factors. So today we will slowly enter into the employee central module. So coming to employee central module, we have fundamentally we have two things, that is foundation data and HR data. That means employee data, we can call it as employee data and foundation data in general. Okay, so again in this foundation data and employee data. So in foundation data we are having objects. So objects and elements are nothing, both are the same, but element is a technical term, but and object is a functional term. Okay, so in the foundation data we have many objects. Okay, so there are different objects in the foundation data, and this foundation data is again categorized into two. That is, it's initially a one only. Foundation objects are only one set of objects, but slowly this few of the foundation objects are getting migrated to MDF. That means metadata framework. So where configuration is done without the help of data models. So we shall see what are the foundation objects, what are MDF objects, and what are employee data. And again in this employee data, there are it is divided into two, that is person objects and employment objects. So we shall see in detail with them also. So to begin with, so these what we are seeing is the foundation objects. So it consists of organization, pay and job structures. So here the configuration or the output, or we can test whatever we are doing, that we can see in the manage organization pay and job structure application. So where the master data maintenance and testing, we can see in the manage organization pay and job structure, and the configuration is done in the corporate data model and a country specific data model. For foundation data. So that means here you can see this FO. This is called foundation data for foundation objects. So initially coming to organization, so location group, geo zone, legal entity, business unit, division, department, cost center, are all this part of organization foundation data. But later these 5 objects are migrated to MDF. That is, so as of now, coming to organization, only these 3 are part of foundation data. That means location group, geo zone. Location group, geo zone. So if you want to do any configuration related to location group, geo zone, so we have to do the configuration in the corporate data model and country specific data model. But if you want to do any configuration for this migrated objects, that is legal entity, business unit, division, department, cost center, If you want to do any configuration related to these 5 objects which are migrated to MDF, we can configure these by using configure object definitions. By using configure object definitions, without the data model we can configure. So in 2015, that means that this is nothing but quarter 2 and this is nothing but a 2015. So in quarter 2 2015, all these 5 objects are migrated to MDF. So that is about the organization. So still this location group, zone are part of foundation data. So in future they may be migrated to MDF. Okay. So coming to pay component, pay related to pay, foundation objects related to pay. So initially frequency, pay grade, pay range, pay component group, pay group, pay calendar, all these 7 objects are part of pay and are part of foundation data, foundation objects only. But later on in quarter 4 2015, this pay group and pay calendar are migrated to MDF. Pay group and pay calendar are migrated to MDF. So as of now, so these five objects are part of foundation data or foundation objects. They would FO indicates foundation objects. So frequency, pay grade, pay range, pay component group. These 5 objects are part of foundation objects right now. And pay group, pay calendar is migrated to MDF. So if you want to do any configuration, related to frequency, pay grade, pay range, pay component group, we have to configure in the corporate data model and country specific data model. Corporate data model and country specific data model. And if you want to master data, if you want to maintain master data and test the configuration what you have done in the corporate and country specific data model, you have to test in the manage organization pay and job structure. Manage organization pay and job structure. So coming to this pay group and pay calendar which are migrated in the quarter 4 2015. So if you want to do any configuration related to this pay group and pay calendar, you have to configure in the configure object definition. Configure object definition, and maintenance or master data maintenance and testing can be checked in manage data application. So that's about pay. So coming to job aspect, the foundation data related to job, initially we have 2 objects related to job, that is job function and job classification, and both this job function and job classification are migrated to MDF. So presently nothing is part of foundation objects related to job. So the two objects, job function and job classification, are migrated to MDF in the quarter 4 2015. So since there is nothing in the foundation objects, so both these MDF objects related to job can be configured in the configure object definition, and the master data maintenance and testing can be done in the manage data application. So similarly, other objects which are part of foundation objects are, that is dynamic role, workflow configuration, event region. So these are the 3 foundation objects. Other than organization pay and job structure. We can create a dynamic role. We can create a workflow configuration. Event region we can do. So event region based on the different events during various transactions in the organization, we can create various regions. So these all 3 objects also belongs to the foundation objects, where the configuration is done in the corporate data model and country specific data model, and the master data maintenance and testing can be done with the manage, organization, pay and job structure. So that's about foundation objects and MDF objects. So slowly we shall move to HR data, that is employee data. So here we have this is employee data, HR data. So as we discussed, Employee Central has the objects related to foundation data and HR data. So foundation data we have classified into foundation objects and MDF objects. And similarly, HR data can be classified into person objects and employment objects. So in the person objects we have these are 8 objects. 8 objects are there in the person objects. And in coming to employment objects, we have this 6 objects. So in the person objects, we are having personal information, personal info, that is biographical information, national ID information, contact information, address information, work permit, primary emergency contact, dependents. So these are the 8 objects as part of the person objects in the HR data. And coming to employment objects, we are having employment details, job information, job relationships, compensation information, eligibility for advance, spot bonus. So these are the 6 objects which are part of employment objects under the HR data. So these are the objects which we must be familiar with before configuring these HR data objects. Okay. So if we speak about the configuration part, so before 2015, in order to configure these objects, we have to configure these by using the data model, succession data model and country specific succession data model. So if you want to configure any of these objects, either person objects or employment objects, before 2015, we are configuring with the help of succession data model and country specific succession data model. But after 2015, we have got an alternative. SAP Successfactors has given us an alternative where we can do the configuration without using XML or data model, or without using succession or country specific data model. We can configure these by using the manage business configuration, that is BCUI. From 2015, we are doing the configuration of this person objects and employment objects with the help of BCUI, that is manage business configuration. With the help of application manage business configuration, we can do any configuration related to this person objects and employment objects. And whereas the master data maintenance and the testing, master data maintenance and the testing can be checked, or can be seen the result, or output can be seen in the employee files. That is public profile and the people profile. We can see the changes done using the configuration. So that's all about this HR data and the foundation data. So if you talk about this personal, so already we have seen this person and employment objects by using succession data model and the country specific data model, succession data model, we can do the configuration. But the alternative is provided, that is by using the managed business configuration, we can do the configuration. And the maintenance and testing can be seen in the managed data. These are foundation objects, and these are other data models. So that's all, and we can see the practicals in the next session.